back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Creality CR-Scan Raptor, and this is supposed to be a beast of a scanner, especially for the price point. So if you have not seen my channel, I do a lot of 3D scanning and custom builds that require me to fabricate parts, and having a 3D scanner, making custom dashes, building custom body parts, making custom subframes and stuff like that is a lot easier when you have a tool like a 3D scanner. So let's unbox this thing, and I've heard nothing but good things so far about it. The first thing I'm gonna have to say is I like the Creality's new hard case. A hard case is nothing but good with a 3D scanner, because if you're going to be taking this places, traveling, or if you're going to keep it in your garage or use it around the shop, it really helps to have a hard case, because if you drop these things, you don't want to damage your 3D scanner. And this is just really nice if you want to take it on an airplane. It's already in a case, and I mean, it's just getting better and better. These 3D scanners, the first one they ever sent me, it worked, and it worked pretty decent, but they've been getting better and better, and that just goes with their cases as well. I mean, this case, foam, it's nice and all set in there. Everything is nice and organized, so if you want to travel with this thing, it's going to be great. So now let's pull out the 3D scanner, and this is the CR-Scan Raptor, and they're getting better and better compared to the CR-Scan Otter, which is a lot cheaper than this one. It's night and day difference. You have the buttons on the back where you have the play or the stop button. You have the zoom in or zoom out, and then you have the lighten or darken depending on, or there's the auto setting, depending on where you're scanning. If you're scanning somewhere that has low light, there's a lot of different settings, and I like how it feels. You also have a strap down here. I always recommend to put that around your wrist so you don't accidentally drop your 3D scanner. And it just feels good in the hand. It's like the perfect size to scan something. So this we'll get back to. Let's see what else is in this kit. I've heard that they updated a lot of stuff with their power connectors. You get everything out of the case. There is a next level. You just pull this piece of foam out of here, like so. You have tracking dots. They also, I believe, did something different with the reflective stuff on the tracking dots, so it picks up the tracking dots a lot better. This box right here, you have all of your power cord connectors. So this is really nice because they made it so it clips in and you can use it anywhere in the world, which is awesome. So it's almost like an Apple where you can just clip in a different connector, and we're in the US, so I'm going to be using this one. People love that sound for some reason. So you have your power connector, and then you have the little adapter, and it literally just clips in like an Apple. Really nice. The cord's a nice length, and then we have the USB cable for the 3D scanner, and these are getting better and better as well. You can see it is straight now, and it also has the connector for your computer, the USB, and you want to plug that into a blue port, and then it has the adapter that power connector goes into, because you need 2 power sources. So before, I'm not exactly sure if it does the same thing, but you're getting 5 volts, I believe, from this, and you're also getting 5 volts from this as well, but you needed both. So before, if you had a blue USB port, you didn't need both. I'm guessing since these scanners are starting to use more and more power, that it needed its own separate power source. So I think it's still really nice. Everything sits behind your computer. The cable is a nice length. It always could be longer, but it works perfectly fine. You plug in your laptop. I usually scan stuff on my desktop, so I pretty much just bring everything down to the basement at my house. But it kind of gets, because I don't want to get my computer, the shop is dusty and dirty, and I could clean everything before I take it down to the basement. Keeping my computer at my shop would be, I don't know, I just have a desktop. I don't have a really good laptop, so it doesn't really make sense for me to ruin a $8,000 computer at the shop. Next thing is how it plugs into the back. So it comes straight out, which is really nice, because that means when you're holding it, and these screw in right here to hold everything nice and tight so it doesn't fall out, you don't lose connection, just like a old graphics card. I shouldn't have said that. Now everybody knows how old I am. So now you can see the cables on the bottom, and they could probably do it like at a 45-degree angle, might help too, but straight down is perfectly fine. Because when you're scanning, you don't want this to be pointed towards whatever you're using. And that's the same thing with this. You don't want this to accidentally, because if you leave it unhooked, it'll sway and it'll give you erroneous data. So leave this either off or leave it around your wrist. And then this is really nice. Like I said, the cables, they always could be longer, but I would say it is decently long, especially if you're using a laptop. You're probably never gonna have to get a longer cable. Then the next thing in the kit is your Creality CR-ScanRaptor manual. You have your sales and service card. Then you have this scan mat. So this is specifically for putting some trackers on, the 3mm trackers on it randomly, and then you use this if you're scanning something smaller. You could also put it under something just so it has some sort of reference with the tracking dots. So, and then we have tracking dots or the little targets, and they give you plenty of these, but I would definitely recommend getting the ones from Creality because their scanner is actually set up for that exact size. So you don't want to have it freaking out. You have a microfiber that comes in it, and then you have down here, you have a USB adapter. And then this last thing is your calibration board. So this is the most important part besides the scanner. You don't want to damage this. You don't want to be using this as a tracking pad. You don't want to scratch it. What this is for calibrating the 3D scanner. And if you damage this, you're gonna have a bad day. So I would recommend keeping it in the plastic, keeping it in the bottom of the case. And I think they had it up, but I would always recommend keeping it down, especially if you accidentally drop something, then it's gonna hit the back instead of the top with all of the markers that are in alignment for the calibration. So let's set everything up on my computer. I already have their software installed on my computer. We'll put some tracking dots on something and then we'll scan it and see how good this thing is. I've heard nothing but good stuff about it. Especially at the price point, you're gonna get a 3D scanner that's going to work very well. Setup is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is connect your power cable. Your USB just needs to be plugged into a blue USB port or a red one if you have one of those. So before I scan the fan shroud, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this little MAC valve just because I want to make a bracket. I know there's a lot of brackets already out on the market, but I want to make a custom one that bolts to an intake manifold that I designed. What I did was I put some tracking dots on that trackpad. Like I said, you can put them as you want them, as many or as few as you want. And I'm going to use the blue laser and the tracking dots to get an accurate scan of this MAC valve so that I can design a part to work with the intake manifold. So it should go pretty quick. need to do is 3 scan this Hellcat fan shroud because the fan in the blue Hellcat Magnum currently doesn't work, and it has turned into kind of a nightmare because the Durango Hellcat fan works perfectly fine, but for some reason Dodge decided to use a different pulse width modulation frequency only on the Hellcat Durangos. So the Trackhawks use the same frequency, and the Chargers and the Challengers also are running at 60 Hertz. And for some reason they decided to run the Durango Hellcat fan at 250 Hertz, so it does not turn this fan on at all. I thought if I ordered a brand new fan that maybe when everything initialized that it then, because this is a module in the back of the fan, that then it got the signal from the ECU and then it just kind of learned what it was, and after it learned that, that's what it always was, but obviously that isn't the case. So now, after all my trials and errors, I need to 3 scan this part and then also 3 scan the Durango Hellcat fan module and fan blade because it's a little bit larger. I believe the Hellcat Charger and Challenger fan blade is 19 inches in diameter, and the Durango Hellcat one is 21 inches in diameter. Not a big difference, and the blade styles are a little bit different. And for some reason, the Hellcat Charger and Challenger fans have a lot of issues, and it doesn't seem like the Hellcat Durangos or the Trackhawks, which somehow use the same fan as the Durango Hellcats, they don't ever burn out and they don't have any wiring issues. So I'd much rather use the Durango Hellcat fan, but what I need to do first is I need to put tracking dots all over this piece because I'm going to want to get both sides, and I need to get all of this webbing here so I can have that connect. It's not that critical because I could add this later on. I kind of know the schematic or how they've done it. If I get one, I could just pretty much revolve that around the part, and it shouldn't be that difficult of a part to design. But I just need some simple dimensions like the mounting in the bottom. It actually tabs in, it doesn't have a bolt. And I want to have it so all of the wiring goes in like factory because I'm going to have to use some ABS casting resin to actually make this work properly. So let's start putting all these tracking dots on this backside and on the top side, and it should be pretty easy, hopefully. One thing about tracking dots is you want to put them close enough because you want to have at least 4 to 5 in frame. So that means for a part this size, you're going to need quite a few tracking dots. Sometimes you could reuse them depending on how clean the surface is that you're applying the tracking dots to. But most of the time, if it's an unclean surface or it has a little bit of dust or grime, you're most likely not going to be able to reuse these. They're not very expensive. I definitely recommend planning on purchasing tracking dots because most of the 3 scanners nowadays, if they have tracking dots, they're designed and calibrated to actually pick up on the diameter of the reflective surface, and that gives you a more accurate 3D scan, which the end result of that will be a better 3D scan, and actually being able to reverse engineer anything off that 3D scan is going to give you a better end result and better part. Now that all the tracking dots are laid out on both sides, it will be really easy if I want to scan both sides and then make it one piece in Creality software. And it's really nice because if you have tracking dots, when you're doing the alignment, you can select the dots and then it will auto align off of those. I believe you select 3, 1 on each plane. And since there are a lot of flat surfaces on this fan shroud, we shouldn't have any issues aligning it. So let's get the 3 scanner ready and start scanning this. It should go really quick. Plus, when you're using tracking dots, it's actually using the blue light, which is going to be amazing because then it's going to scan so much better. Creality's software and their 3D scanners are getting kind of on par with the more expensive $10,000, $15,000 3D scanners. The first thing you're going to do is download Creality software. If you have not done that already, I have used a few of their 3D scanners, so I already have the software downloaded, and we're going to open it, and then the scanner is going to update. If you need to update, it'll ask you and just click yes. It goes pretty quick, I guess, depending on your internet. Update complete. And I need to update the software to the newest version. So that will go really quick as well. And you want to have everything at the newest current version if you're going to want to get a proper 3D scan. Most of the time, it will want you to upgrade anyway because you're connected to the internet and the 3D scanner wants to be 100% in sync with the software. So this is just giving you a performance test report, and it's saying the blue laser scanning mode is 50 frames per second. So I'm going to click new project and I'm going to type in Hellcat, I don't know how to spell, fan. Click OK. And since we are using the blue laser mode, you're going to need the tracking dots, and you can set your resolution if you want color mapping and if you want to exclude flat base. So I'm just going to have no and no, and I'll just leave it at the factory settings. Click scan, and then the blue laser lights are now on. The really cool thing about the 3D scanner now is it has the play button in the center, plus you have zoom in and zoom out, and you also have lighten and darken depending on if you're in a darker room or a brighter room. Using it with the blue laser mode, I wouldn't even really worry about that. So you want to get it positioned where you're going to get a lot of tracking dots at first. And as you can see on the screen, that we are seeing those tracking dots right away, which is awesome. So I'm going to come to a position where it is in around optimal. Click play. And we're just going to go back and forth. So if you go side to side, it really doesn't work that well because you're kind of just combing the part as you're scanning it. And it works a lot better instead of going side to side like this. It's not really picking up as much data. It still does, but I like to kind of comb it like this and make sure you're staying with tracking dots because you don't want it to lose tracking. Every time it loses tracking, you have kind of discrepancy in the resolution and any of the dimensions. They kind of get thrown off, not by much, but a little bit. And you want this part to continue to get green, so you're going to go back and forth, and it goes pretty quick. Is very comparable to a newer, more expensive, I'd say $10,000 to $15,000 range 3D scanner, which is awesome because now the hobbyists can really get into 3D scanning and not really have to worry about the stuff they're scanning not working in CAD, because most of the time the data that you got, you can see it just picking up all of those features on the fan shroud, which is awesome. And we are going to have a nice scanned part. And it's also picking tracking up really quickly when it loses it, just because it's going off of the tracking dots more than the features. When it's going off the features, it really has that risk. And if you can get tracking dots on the side and get it to pick those up too, it's going to come out really nice, and you can have a fully scanned part. Yep, we're getting those tracking dots right there. That's awesome. And it picked up tracking really quick. Added more tracking dots. I have some on these pieces of plastic right here, here, and here. Hopefully, as I'm looking and shining the scanner this way to come around this corner, it picks up on those tracking dots, allowing me to come around here. I also added a few more here, around here, and then some on the sticker because there's kind of a blank spot. And then I should be able to come in and scan around this housing to get the center. And we should be able to just kind of follow through and then come around and get the whole other side as well. see exactly how good this scan is going to be after I clean some stuff out of it, because it has a bunch of the fan blades and table and a bunch of stuff that we really don't need. So we're going to zoom into this. We've got a bolt hole here, looks good. We have a pretty good circle right there. I wish I had a little bit more, but I needed to add more tracking dots. Oh, we have a good circumference around this edge right here. I think we'll be good drawing a circle off of that. But we need to come in here and lasso some of this stuff that we don't need, like the table. So right here, it has marker removal. So it's going to auto remove the markers. And it says, in most cases, a resolution of 0.1 millimeter is sufficient to achieve a good detail. Settings in smaller will get better detail for the model, but will also significantly increase memory consumption and processing time. So we're going to do 0.1 because we want to get the markers out of there. And it's going to get rid of all these little specks right here. Okay, it's going to get rid of all those markers. It shouldn't take too long because my computer is pretty fast, so. And it shows how many points we have. Looks like we have 6 million, almost 7 million points. We'll have a lot less after we get rid of all of the table and points that we don't really need in the scan data. And that number you'll see it start to drop. Now I just need to clean everything up. So you can see that it got rid of all of the tracking dots. I mean, there's maybe a few little spots you can still see, but for the most part, it took care of those pretty well. So let's move this around and spin it, slide it, give her another spin. And I'm going to use the lasso tool and get rid of the desk. So it's pretty simple. You just lasso it. You're hitting shift, lasso, and then you just select delete, and I'll delete whatever's in red. There's not really much erroneous data. The previous scanners, they had all this noise around the part, and it seems like this one doesn't have any of that, or very minimal. I mean, that was something right there, but I mean, for this large of a part to just have one little area of erroneous scan data is pretty good. So now I'm going to come down here. I'm actually not going to do any point cloud merging. At first I was thinking I was going to merge the back side and the front side, but there's not really a reason to do that. I could do it, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse engineer off this, and then I could add all the webbing on the other side later on, because it really doesn't matter. So we can see we have all that really good. Yeah, I think we're good there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'll go to 1 and no hole filling, and then just select and I'll process it, and it should come out really good. Okay, now it's denoised and ran through the process, and it looks, I mean, it looks good. Look at this line right here. So after a bunch of testing with the Creality CR-Scan Raptor, I am very impressed with their new 3D scanner. They will be releasing their new wireless version, which is going to be really, really awesome, because then you don't have to worry about the cable. But this thing is a night and day difference between all of their other scanners. If you're new to 3D scanning, I would definitely recommend starting off with a cheaper 3D scanner just to get used to it and to make sure it's something that you want to do, because it is a lot of work. The one thing I do wish Creality would add to their software is the way to align the 3D scan to a coordinate system and make a few planes would be very beneficial in being able to import those planes into SolidWorks or any other CAD editing software, and then having a good starting point from design off that part or to make a completely new part. Like I said, I am super excited about the 3D scanner. It works great. If you are looking to purchase one, today is Cyber Monday, and I would recommend checking them out. There is a link in the description. I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.